Imagine walking into Grand Dining Hall and grabbing the biggest plate you can find, filling it with all your favorite foods, and then walking directly to the trash can and throwing nearly half of it away. That may seem ridiculous, but 40% of all food in America is wasted. College campus dining halls are a large source of food waste because they require enough food to be made for all students who may eat there. Additionally, students often fill their plates with more food than can be eaten. Food waste contributes to the emission of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, which leads to an increase in global temperature. Although reducing food waste and carbon emissions on a large scale seems a daunting task, there are practical solutions that can help resolve this issue. Composting is a powerful tool used to turn rotting organic material, such as food, into a nutrient-rich soil enhancer that allows plants to thrive. Currently, in Grand Dining Hall, there is not an option to compost the food students did not eat. I'm proposing the implementation of organic waste collection bins as an alternative to throwing away uneaten food. Not only would this initiative increase sustainability on campus, but would also benefit Fresh Gatherings, a student-led cafe that operates a small farm in St. Louis, by providing them with compostable materials. By implementing organic waste collection bins in Grand Dining Hall, it would allow for students to actively participate in a program that betters SLU and the global climate. Composting is a process in which organic materials, such as food scraps, are broken down by microorganisms in an aerobic process which can then be used to enrich soil and nourish plants. When the same organic material is sent to a landfill, it is broken down anaerobically, which causes the production of methane gas, an extremely powerful greenhouse gas that has 28 times the impact of carbon dioxide. Composting reduces landfill use as well as greenhouse gas emissions. Composting is an incredibly useful tool for mitigating food waste, however, it does come with its drawbacks. I grew up on a small farm south of St. Louis, and I, as well as anyone else who has composted, can tell you it can create a very unpleasant odor. The smell created by composting is a concern that needs to be addressed. I can assure you that as a student who eats at Grand Dining Hall almost every day, I do not want to be affronted by any odor while I am trying to enjoy a meal, and I'm sure all other students would share the same sentiment. I am proposing that food waste be collected in bins next to the conveyor belt for dirty dishes. This would simply be a site for the collection of organic materials, not where the process of composting would take place. By transporting this food to an off-site composting bin 3 to 4 times a day, the smells associated with degrading waste would be negated. This plan may spark concern regarding who will be transporting this waste off campus. There's a student-led cafe at St. Louis University called Fresh Gatherings. This cafe is sourced by 3 local farms in St. Louis, as well as a garden that the student workers maintain. Fresh Gatherings already has the bins necessary to compost the organic materials that Grand Dining Hall would provide. Student workers would bring the food waste from the dining hall to the farm a few times a week. To relieve some of the responsibility from the workers of Fresh Gatherings, I am also proposing that additional student workers be employed to aid in the transport of organic waste. To keep the cost of this project low, transportation of this waste could be accomplished by a truck already used by lawn services on SLU's campus. Any additional organic waste beyond the needs of Fresh Gatherings could then be taken to the other 3 local farms that source the cafe. Food collection programs, such as the one I am proposing, have been successfully carried out in other cities. The City of New York Department of Sanitation, through the collection of food waste, was able to produce 2,250 tons of compost in 2019 for the benefit of community gardens and other nonprofit organizations. SLU's composting initiative would be accomplished on a much smaller scale than that of New York City, but could provide similar benefits both to the students of SLU and the global climate. I believe that this will allow SLU to mitigate food waste while benefiting a student organization that provides healthy meals for other students. It is very possible that students may not know which items on their plate can go into the organic waste bins. In this case, throwing trash or other non-compostable materials in these bins would decrease the effectiveness of the initiative, as the food collected may not be able to be composted and would have to be thrown away. It is necessary to have educational measures in place to ensure that the right materials are being collected for compost. This can be accomplished by displaying infographics on the large screen right next to the conveyor belt, which would provide examples of what on their plates can be composted to prevent the collection bins from being contaminated. This would also provide an opportunity to educate SLU students on the importance of mitigating food waste. A study was conducted on effective communication regarding the reduction of food waste. It used identification with all humanity, or IWAH, as an indicator. Communities with high IWAH display higher levels of concern and supportive behavior towards the disadvantaged and stronger responses in favor of global harmony. The study concluded that for both groups, with and without strong identification with all humanity, locally framed messaging resulted in the highest engagement in food waste mitigation efforts. Local messaging for these infographics would include how composting leftover food can benefit SLU. I have composed 2 infographics that could be displayed on the monitors next to the conveyor belt and grand dining hall. The intention of this infographic is to take advantage of the research conducted by Vivian Pong in hopes that local messaging will lead to action that mitigates food waste. I've used pictures from around campus to show that this issue is happening here, but so can the solution. I've also included examples of what food can be composted to ensure that the organic waste collected is fully compostable. The quote at the top of the page is from a 2011-2012 report that SLU did on campus sustainability and shows that when you take action to reduce waste, you are being an active participant in SLU's mission. There are also some benefits to composting listed to further motivate students to take a few seconds to place the correct waste in the bins. Finally, at the bottom of the infographic, I provided a brief explanation of how students can compost their uneaten food today. In the second infographic, I tried to limit the number of words on the page to ensure that students could read it on their way to the conveyor belt. Most students are not going to want to stop to read an infographic while leaving the dining hall, so I thought that the most effective messaging would be brief. Also, light greens and organic shapes are used so that it is aesthetically pleasing and further emphasizes the intention of the infographic. Another way to increase messaging in the dining hall is by displaying fast facts about food waste and the environment. This is one possible example of a quick statistic that may cause students to think about their own food consumption and waste. I again tried to tie in local messaging by using the St. Louis Arch as an example, a monument that can be seen from SLU's campus. To maintain student interest, the fact could be changed 2 to 3 times a week using this graphic as a template. While this would be quite an undertaking for just one student, I think that a group of environmental studies and nutrition students would likely be very interested in maintaining this project. A lot of times, hearing about climate change is overwhelming and often turns people away. This is a way to communicate lots of information to the student body in small, digestible increments. I think that brief, local messaging would be the most effective in mitigating food waste in Grand Dining Hall, and these few examples are ways in which this can be accomplished. Finally, there may be a legitimate concern that implementing compost bins on a college campus is an ineffectual solution to a much larger problem. However, other universities have had success in reducing the environmental impact of food waste with similar initiatives. A study conducted across 5 universities in China demonstrated that small-scale biogas plants can efficiently mitigate the release of greenhouse gas emissions on college campuses. These were facilities that provided oxygen-free conditions where anaerobic digestion can occur and turn waste into fertilizers. Although they used an anaerobic process and composting is aerobic, the study showed that small-scale initiatives on college campuses can have large environmental impacts. Similarly, a study conducted by an international coalition of researchers, professionals, and scientists determined 100 practices that can be used to solve climate change. Among them is composting. Paul Hawken, an American environmentalist and author, said that these measures promise cascading benefits to human health, security, prosperity, and well-being, giving us every reason to see this planetary crisis as an opportunity to create a just and livable world. As a Jesuit institution, St. Louis University is committed to educating the entire person for the service of others. As a SLU student, I feel a special connection to this mission, as I have greatly benefited both academically and personally from its holistic approach to education. My favorite part of the Jesuit identity at SLU is that it is not the passive acquisition of knowledge, but rather a call to action, to use your education and talents to benefit those around you. This initiative is my way of participating in this mission and inviting other students to join me. Implementing organic waste collection bins in Grand Dining Hall is a small-scale way to reduce food waste at SLU and provide compost for fresh gatherings. While it will take effort from many different groups of people, it will also provide an opportunity for SLU's mission to be echoed even further. We are called to improve the world for those around us, and by reducing food waste in order to combat global climate change, SLU students can participate more fully in our Jesuit identity and work towards creating a more sustainable campus.